My name is Hiram Kirkendall of Kirkendall Counseling Services. I'm also a mental health professional at Cook County Corrections. One of the issues of working in corrections and working in private practice is that I have found what I believe is a gaping hole within the system. One of the things I deal with in Cook County every day is recidivism. A lot of the guys that get released, either when they go home from prison or when they go home from jail, they come back. And they generally come back because they don't have options out there in the world. Now, in the city of Chicago, there are, or in the state of Illinois for that matter, there are many social service agencies. Uh, However, they serve specific things. Many of the people that they serve are on disability. Most of them are Medicaid only. However, they don't provide a specific service for the gaping hole that we find for the formerly incarcerated. After reviewing the intake data, because part of the mental health staff, one of the things we do is intake. So, after reviewing the intake data at Cook County Jail, what we have found is roughly about 80 to 85% of the individuals who are incarcerated, at least in the state of Illinois, are they have a high school diploma or less. They are unmarried, and they're generally raised without a father in the home. In fact, and they're mostly men. About 85% are men, and of that 85% male, about 80% are minority men, meaning they're African American or Hispanic. So, one of the things we found is that by providing a certain level of service, you can actually decrease the jail and prison population and actually reduce recidivism. So, I have come up with a concept. Currently, I run a private practice counseling service called Kirkendall Counseling Services. However, my concept is now to expand that into simply Kirkendall Services. And so, what the plan of this is, the concept begins with we are going to provide job training, learning social skills, mental health treatment, and provide access to further resources. Now, in order to do this, we will need to form certain partnerships, certain relationships within that organization in order to communicate. We will also, as we expand, we'll bring on certain staff members. Okay? So, the first thing is to form partnerships with financing. That partnership is going to be as far as with government agencies, as far as grants. We're able to now take based on insurance. We are qualified for Medicaid, Medicare, and we accept 7 private insurance companies. So we will be able to accept insurance. We will go for private grants, and both the county jail and the state prisons also have partnership programs to where we will be able to form partnerships with them to provide these services. So those are the first relationships that we will develop with those for financing. Obviously, the next relationship is the bringing in of the clients themselves. Those who we are going to focus specifically on those who have been incarcerated. Okay, why? Because that is a need that is not being filled. There are all kinds of services that meet all other kinds of needs, but we're going to focus specifically on the individuals that's been incarcerated. So the first part of this, the number one reason why we're finding people are getting incarcerated is because of a lack of education, a lack of skill, which leads to a lack of income, which contributes to criminal activity. So we are going to then form relationships with individuals who can provide first on the job training, but then also we're going to form relationships with schools such as there's one called Dalton Skills Center, and then there's other types of vocational training that we're going to try to make it mandatory to participate in our program, because we're also going to have halfway housing. So in order for you to stay in the halfway housing, you're going to have to be participating in the training program, right? So we're going to have you going to these places, and we're also going to have some in-house training. For example, you might want to learn coding for computer programming or some other training that can be performed in-house. But the things that some of the vocational stuff like carpentry, electrical work, air conditioning and heating, plumbing, all those sorts of things, we are going to form relationships with schools like Dalton Skills Centers and other vocational or community colleges to help these guys develop those skills that they're going to need. Also, within our halfway house and in our facility, we are going to have instructors or counselors that's going to provide them with learning social skills. Another problem that a lot of these guys have is they do not have any social skills. They don't know how to speak to people. They don't know how to interact in a normal work environment. There are some individuals who have never had an actual job before. They've survived off criminal activity their entire lives. They might even be in their 30s and 40s. And what they're doing is they are continuously going back to prison. And what we've learned from the research is a person who constantly gets incarcerated can cost society millions of dollars over the course of their lifetime, as opposed to contributing. So that's the first thing. It's going to be the halfway house and the training part of it. The next part is going to be the mental health treatment part of it. We're going to need to be able to treat people for mental health issues. That is a important, very important part of this program, because many of these individuals are suffering from depression. They're suffering from anxiety, and they go years and years and years without being treated. So we will also form relationships. We will also hire in-house counselors, and we will form relationships with those therapists so that we can provide that treatment for them. Another idea that we're going to do is we're going to offer parenting skills. Many of these guys are also fathers and mothers, and many have lost their children to the system due to incarceration or due to being found unfit as parents. So we're going to provide them with parenting skills. Now, the overall goal of this organization is going to be to pretend that the individuals that are currently incarcerated are one day going to be your neighbor, and we want them fit and responsible and able to live a responsible life. So, in this case, the relationships needed to form that is going to be the total concept of Kirkendall services, which will include counseling and job training, halfway house, and also substance abuse treatment and parenting classes. Okay? With that, we will form relationships with different financial entities. One, we will participate in programs coming from the county government, from the local governments, and from the state governments. We will also participate in grant writing so that we can receive certain grants, and we will receive Medicaid, Medicare, and outside insurance. The next relationship that we're going to be forming is going to be with vocational education systems and also with instructors that can come in and teach certain things like computer programming and graphic design and other types of skills that can be taught in house, and then the things that can have to be taught outside at a vocational facility like carpentry, electrical work, plumbing, bricklaying, air conditioning, heating. We were going to form partnerships with those vocational schools. And the next entity obviously is going to be the parenting part, for which can be done, with the counseling group, substance abuse counseling, and counseling for depression, anxiety, and whatever other issues they might have. After all this, we expect the goal of this is to reduce recidivism by at least 70%. Now, it would be in the government's best interest or society's best interest to invest in something like this because it costs an average of $60,000 a year in the state of Illinois to incarcerate someone. So what this organization aims to do is to reduce that cost long term, reduce recidivism, and also increase the number of productive citizens that we have in the state, which would also improve the economy and increase tax revenue and decrease crime. Okay? So this is the concept for Kirkendall Services, and we will hope to be launching this hopefully within the next year and a half. Thank you.